Breaking stories revolving around the arrest of the Illinois governor, and now his deputy governor, Greenlee, has just resigned. The FBI identifies Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. as candidate number 5. He's apparently holding a news conference at 4:15. We will take that live. And President-elect Barack Obama has called on Governor Blagojevich to step aside. The president-elect has stayed away from the scandal so far, but is that demand for him to resign enough? Keith Boykin is a Democratic strategist, and Chris Wilson is a Republican strategist and pollster. It's good to see both of you guys today. Chris, let me begin with you. Do you think that Obama demanding that Blagojevich step aside, saying he can't be effective in his position now, is that enough?
Well, I think it's the right direction, but I think he's also called for a special election. I think that's got to happen. And I also think there's still more explanation that's got to take place. I know David Axelrod said that they met and then said that they didn't meet, but there was actually a report on KQHA out of Springfield that they had met on November the 8th, that Governor Blagojevich and Obama had met about the Senate seat. And I think some answers have got to come forward about that, because that hasn't really been dealt with yet, and that is something that's still kind of hanging out there. So I think right now he's doing things that go in the right direction, but there's still more questions out there that are left to be answered.
Keith, President-elect Obama was on Meet the Press, and he was asked about who would potentially fill Hillary Clinton's Senate seat. What did he think of Caroline Kennedy? And he did not want to answer. Here's his quote. He said that the last thing he wants to do is get involved in New York politics. Quote, "I've got enough trouble in terms of Illinois politics." Is there more to this story than meets the eye?
I don't think so. I mean, Barack Obama has a reputation for being clean government type of guy. He's come through the Illinois politics system without any taint of scandal associated with him. He ran through the campaign, and he had a lot of people trying to get everything they could on him. Believe me, if they had any evidence that there was anything he had done wrong, they would have done something. And I don't think that's the type of president he is, the type of president-elect he is. He's been consistently in favor of reform and consistently in favor of ethics reform specifically.
And look, the FBI pointed out, and the U.S. Attorney pointed out yesterday, that there are no allegations against anyone mentioned in these complaints, with the exception of the chief of staff who was charged and the governor who was charged. But there's that whole story about the SEIU union and whether they could help out this particular candidate by getting the governor a job, and then Barack Obama would come around and turn. And there's no knowledge. There's no indication that he knew anything about that conversation.
He doesn't have to be involved in this, because the reality is he's given up one of the most important Senate seats in the country right now, abandoned that seat in order to run in order to become president. And as a result, we've opened up the floodgates for everybody out there who wants to get involved and get into this. And Chicago is known for having dirty politics, so it's not surprising that people are going to be involved with that. But it doesn't involve the president-elect at all.
All right, Chris, last word here.
Well, I can't disagree with Keith about Chicago politics, and that does lead to itself. But moving along, so a little bit further about what Obama needs to do is, right, at this point, all U.S. attorneys are probably going to be fired in January. I think right now Obama needs to step forward and say Peter Fitzgerald will keep his job. He's in the middle of an investigation. He has got to keep this job, or it will destroy the investigation, and it completely undoes any talk of ethics in Chicago government.
All right, Keith, Chris, I'm going to leave it. Hey, I said Chris could have the last word. Keith, don't steal it back.